The first moment that was kind of a tipping point in my childhood where I said I wanted to be a millionaire was when my dad wouldn't buy me an ice cream from McDonald's. So I was very driven to provide for myself.
And prove yourself.
I made $36,000 on that sale.
Boom.
And then my next sale was a $1 million mansion in a very nice neighborhood in Scottsdale, which now is probably $8 million. And then I made another $36,000, and I used those funds to purchase my first investment property.
I mean, I've built 28 businesses, and you get this dilution of focus and everything suffers. But if you're bringing in partners to help with that, then that's the way to do it. Welcome back to Lifetime Cash Flow through Real Estate Investing. I'm Rod Cleef, and I am thrilled that you're here. And I know you're going to get tremendous value from the young lady I'm interviewing today. Her name's Hannah Hammond, and she's from Phoenix. And she's got a very interesting story. She is multi-millionaire in her early 20s, probably worth a lot more than that now, and just done more than most people have done in their 60s. So very excited to get into this interview. I know you're going to get value. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, Ron.
Well, I'm happy that you're here, and I'm excited to hear your story because you've accomplished so much already, and geez, the sky's the limit for you. So to where you're at. So I know you already own a real estate brokerage. You already have you do private lending. You've established a debt fund. I mean, you've got all these different things happening, and very successful real estate brokerage. So, you know, I want to talk about, or have you talk about how you got to that place and why you're so driven, and maybe talk a little bit about your background.
Absolutely. So I'm actually third generation native to Arizona. My great grandmother was a cotton picker in the cotton fields that are now car dealerships.
Wow.
And we had very little money growing up. My dad worked and still works at a pawn shop making minimum wage.
Wow.
And my mom tried to take care of the kids because babysitting's expensive. I was a third child. My brothers were much older than me, which is kind of an accident down the line somewhere. And she was a bagger at Bash's to try to support the family. So that was the environment that I was raised in. My dad would keep the AC at 90 degrees in the summer in Phoenix. So I remember, crying and pouring sweat and having nowhere to get air conditioning really. And then he was just an interesting character for sure. So I knew really young that was not a fun environment, and it wasn't a fun life, and it wasn't something that I wanted to be a part of. And fortunately for me, I think I'm really blessed to have been exposed to a family that had a lot of money and from a very young age. And she was a friend that I met in school, and she had horses, and they had a big house, and they had a happy marriage, and they had just everything that was not what I was experiencing.
Right.
And it really motivated me to go towards that. And I fell in love with horses, and for those who may not know, horses are very expensive to purchase and take care of, like multiple six figures a year. And I just loved the nice cars and the nice houses and the joy that was in the household versus the fighting and the pain that I was experiencing in my household. So
you're able to see it. And that's a huge piece. And I remember, just as a sidebar, growing up the same way, and I had a girlfriend who had a house like that. They had a 3-car garage. I'd never seen a 3-car garage before, a pool, and all the jet skis and snowmobiles and motorcycles and all this stuff that I couldn't believe they had. So that's very interesting. I had the same experience. Please continue.
Yeah, I think it's important because some people grow up on a farm in Ohio and they don't see it,
right.
And so I'm happy I was in an area close by to a lot of wealth in Scottsdale, Paradise Valley.
Right.
The school I went to was out of my district, but so half the school was pretty low income and half the school was very high income. And so I definitely had that opportunity. But the first moment that was kind of a tipping point in my childhood where I said I wanted to be a millionaire was when my dad wouldn't buy me an ice cream from McDonald's. And I was so upset by it.
Wow.
I wanted a McFlurry, and he wouldn't buy it for me. And I was crying, and I said that, I'm going to be a millionaire so I could buy myself McFlurries. And I was dedicated.
You said that out loud?
Yep.
Good for you.
I said that out loud. And then my brother threatened to kill me and went to jail. And he said I would never amount to anything. And so I was very driven to provide for myself.
And prove yourself probably too. Huh? Yeah.
Very low self-esteem, very low self-worth, suffered with feelings of abandonment and rejection and hopelessness and just fear of not being taken care of or loved. And that fear drove me in the beginning for many years. And I felt like achieving in school was the one thing I could control. And so I was always the best in my class from kindergarten.
Really?
I have a stack of principals list. I graduated engineering school and college in 3 years with 4.0 GPA.
Wow.
It was something that I really pushed myself to be good at, because it was like the only place I could find my identity and self-worth. And it was just a really deep coping mechanism for me. And if I wasn't dialed in.
That's a positive one, because some people pick negative ones: drugs, alcohol, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Which I experimented with all that.
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
fortunately, business was my true addiction. And just not business, but accomplishment.
Yeah.
So I would fill balloons with flour. It's like what I found in my house, and I would sell them as stress balls to my neighbors. I would
Fill balloons with flour?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I follow that. How
Like-
is that a stress ball? Oh, got it.
yeah.
Oh, you squeeze it. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I was seeing an explosion with flour everywhere. Got it. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so just creative things like that.
Okay.
And I was babysitting when I was young. Like, I should have had my own babysitter. And then I really loved horses, so I studied how to train horses and became good at training horses, and convinced the person at the barn to let me work there to keep my slaughterhouse rescue there. So I just had a very entrepreneurial spirit.
Nice.
And I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I was probably, I don't know, 7th grade, middle school, somewhere around there. And it just clicked in my head when I read that book by Robert Kiyosaki, and assets versus liabilities. And he said to build up your assets and your passive income so you can make money in your sleep, and then ultimately allow your assets to pay for your liabilities. And so I was very adamant about that. Fortunately, I knew how to stretch a dollar because of the family that I was raised in.
Right.
And I decided I'm going to stay in Arizona. I'm going to get my real estate license as soon as I can when I turn 18. I'm going to get a full ride scholarship to college based on merit so I can have that on my resume. I knew, being a young female in commercial real estate, I'd need some sort of something to help gain respect.
Some income. Oh, respect. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So you thought the degrees would help you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Just to have, a dual engineering degree, and that.
That's what you got? Mm-hmm. Good
Yep.
for you.
So that was my path. So I got signed up for real estate school at 18 years old. I held an open house in my neighborhood before college started. I got a full ride scholarship to college. I picked engineering because I wouldn't have to go into debt. It was just a quick degree that would pay a lot of money. And I wanted to check the corporate America thing off the box, even though I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. But I wanted to not ever regret trying that path,
Sure.
and also see how a large organization was run, so I could learn how to
Until
run my
you
own.
realized that it's not what you wanted.
Yeah.
Probably, right. Right. Okay.
So yeah, I bought my very first sale was Moon Valley Nursery, actually.
Like a tree nursery or plant nursery? No kidding.
They're a really large nursery on the
Okay.
West Coast.
Okay.
And this person walked in the open house, is the only person that showed up. It was the middle of summer. I was an 18-year-old broken little kid, and he ended up listing a $1.1 million property with me. That was 10 years ago.
Wow, that's when 1.1 million was a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
And I made $36,000 on that sale.
Boom.
And then my next sale was a $1 million mansion in a very nice neighborhood in Scottsdale, which now is probably $8 million. And then I made another $36,000, and I used those funds to purchase my first investment property, which I had to live in, because of course I had to support myself.
So you bought a house and you moved into it, and that was but you considered it an investment property. Good for you.
Yeah. So
By the way, that's a clue, guys. You buy a house, look at it like an investment property. All right, good.
yeah, and that was my intent with it. Is it's going to serve me a purpose to live here. I'm going to get a better interest rate because I'm owner occupied.
What year was that?
2014.
Okay.
And it was $76,900.
Wow.
And I put about $20,000 into doing a full rehab on it while I lived there, which was fun. And then I furnished it. Then I bought another one that was bigger for a couple $100,000, something around there. And then I rented that one out fully furnished. Wow. And I did really good in the fully furnished rental industry for many years.
In Phoenix?
In Phoenix, yeah.
Okay.
I was
the long-term rental?
I would do whatever worked for the tenant.
Okay.
So I self-managed everything and started my own property management, entity to manage my portfolio.
Yeah.
And if it was, if they wanted short-term, the price would go up, but I would allow it. If they wanted mid-term, price was middle, I'd allow it. If they wanted long-term, I'd drop the price.
By the way, guys, that's short-term would be like, well, probably not Airbnb short-term, but maybe a couple of months. Mid-term, maybe 6 months. Then long-term, of course, a year. And I've got students that are killing it with midterm. Airbnb is getting crushed right now. But, okay, well, wow, awesome.
Yeah, so that was kind of what started the real estate, and then I read, I found out about you because I was super, like, my favorite asset class was multifamily, and I wanted to be a multifamily broker and invest in multifamily and all of those things, and so I went to work for CAT, the construction company, and as an engineer, and I got into a management position there right out of college.
Wow.
And I learned about construction, and just, they were $1 billion organization, so I learned how they operated their company, and really got some good experience there. And then I quit and started my own construction companies.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you built anything?
I had 3. Yeah, we built them pretty good size. I was only involved in
homes or what?
3 construction companies.
Oh, you built 3 construction companies.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
what sort of construction did you do? Did you do new build or remodel, or what sorts of things did you just use it for your own turns, or what were you?
So we were doing, I brought a business partner in, that's what I say we, was me and him, and we did a general construction company where we did mostly remodels, primarily commercial though.
Okay.
So like Topgolf was our client, Whataburger was our client.
Fantastic.
We were doing those projects. And then we had a high-end home division because I was big in the real estate market because I was an agent, a broker. Right. And so we would do glass. We had a glass company, a roofing company, and a general construction company.
Holy cow.
So we had about 75 employees, a bunch of trucks on the road, shop and everything. But for multiple reasons, I did not like the construction industry.
Yeah.
And that was during COVID that I was running those. So supply chain, labor.
Oh my God. I remember seeing the memes of a pile of wood saying, "This is my retirement fund," because it went up so high, right? Okay.
Oh, it was a nightmare. And then, employees would be like, "Oh, I have COVID every 2 weeks." And so nobody was showing up to work, and we had to pay them. And it was really difficult. And I didn't know. I had no, like, me trying to tell contractors what to do.
Right.
I didn't really have a place in that business.
It's tough because that's that good old boy. I could totally see where you'd have a struggle with that.
Yeah. And I didn't like the feeling of not being able to step in and do what my staff was doing. I couldn't go install a piece of glass at Topgolf.
Gotcha.
And I hated feeling like I wasn't. It was imposter syndrome a little bit.
Gotcha. No, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I exited those, gave ownership fully to my partner, and then at that point I opened the real estate brokerage and focused fully on commercial real estate.
Gotcha.
And the brokerage is called The Firm, and we do something unique about us is that we allow agents to do residential or commercial. And so most brokerages, it's either
one or the other.
One or the other, yeah. And so I had built both businesses pretty big, and I didn't want to give up one or the other, and so I just had to create my own solution, and that was starting my own firm.
The Firm.
The Firm.
It's the name of a movie, I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a movie, right?
I haven't seen it, but everyone asks me.
Yeah. It's a movie for sure. It's but anyway, so you have some agents that do residential, some that do commercial. That is very unusual. Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing that now?
I launched that company January of 2022, so 2.5 years. And about the same time, I had started a 1031 exchange company and a hard money lending company. And serial entrepreneur. One of the things I'm focusing on is
do you bring in partners on these different businesses?
Yeah, I usually do. I usually always bring in one partner.
Good.
Because there's visionary, there's operations, there's so much, and in my opinion, in order to scale rapidly, you're the visionary. Yeah. And guys, in any business, Tony Robbins has these different archetypes, and there's the visionary, there's the manager leader, which is the operations person. Oh God, what's the other one? I'm drawing a blank. The integrator.
Yeah, there's an integrator. Well, that's in the EOS, but Tony's got different archetypes for these. But bottom line is there are several different personality types that you need for every business. And you'll see, like in Silicon Valley, you'll see the creator, the innovator will be the software nerds that created something, but then they've got to bring in VC money, and they bring in their whole C-level suite to really operate the business. And you were smart enough to realize that, because I was a little concerned when you're talking about all these different businesses. I mean, I've built 28 businesses, and you get this dilution of focus, and everything suffers. But if you're bringing in partners to help with that, then that's the way to do it. Good for you.
Yeah, and that's really the strategy is be the visionary, be the leader, and then someone else is the integrator operator, and then and they're all vertically integrated businesses.
Right. They all feed off each other as well, basically, which is really smart too. Yeah, good for you.
But I'm a big follower of Alex Hormozi, and he talks about the woman in the red dress, like all these opportunities, and as you become more successful, you get presented with better opportunities. And I'm sure you get presented with opportunities every day.
Shiny penny syndrome, boom,
Yep.
boom, boom. You just got to be careful, you know, because you want to do it all. You know, but if you maintain that focus and you don't dilute that focus, and you bring in people like you're doing, you got it much earlier than I did. Good for you.
Thank you. It's Who Not How. I read
Right.
that book and it changed everything.
That's a great book. It's downstairs in my library. Yep. Talk about the mechanics of your debt fund, because my understanding is you'll have investors invest their money, and then you loan it out at a high, and they get a return on their money, and then you loan out at a higher rate, and you're making the spread. Correct? Is that how it works, or maybe I've got it wrong? I don't know.
So there's two different structures that you could
Okay.
have your debt fund. One is that, which is basically arbitrage. So
Okay,
I
right.
would say I'm paying you 8%
Right.
as an investor, and then if I charge 12,
Right.
I keep the difference, or whoever the GPs are keep the
Right,
difference.
right.
And that's one model to do
Okay.
it. I've gone with the other model, which is a straight profit share.
Yeah, that's really smart, because I was going to ask you on the previous model, then you're paying money whether the money's out or not in most cases. I would
Yeah.
or in some cases, but yeah, in a profit share, that's perfect, because you're loaning the money and splitting the profit.
Yeah, and then that way the investors, which I will be at LP as well, it's a true partnership, and they actually have all the upside of the business. And like in this fund, we pay an 80% profit to the LPs, which is a huge
So
amount.
you're doing 80-20 split. Good for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that way we would never be, like, my team would never be motivated to do anything that wouldn't benefit the investors. It's a win-win, right? If we win together, we make more money
I like
together.
that too, because I could see on the other relationship that you might be more aggressive in your underwriting than you want to be, because you're trying to get the money out there. That's a very valid point. I think your model is much safer for an investor, for sure.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
and as the economy changes, I wouldn't want to tell an investor, hey, I'm paying you 8% with rates in this environment, and then next year rates are down back to 3%, and then I have to go back to everyone and say, okay, now it's 6% that I'm paying you,
Yeah.
or rates go up, and then they're still only getting 8%, and then now we're making 18%. So I really wanted, for the longevity of the relationships and the longevity of the fund, is we are in this together as partners. And if something happens to the economy where we have more defaults, or our interest rates have to drop, or any situation like that, where the whole fund's not going to implode because we have this 10% or 8% rate that we're
Got it.
promising
You have these
people.
expectations that you have to meet as well. Yeah, no, I that makes complete sense. I really like that model a lot. And did you just start it, or is this something that's been going for a little bit?
Yeah, so I've been doing fix and flip loans
Right.
and hard money loans
Right.
for a few years now, but the HB Capital Fund
Right.
just launched.
So it's hbcapitalre.com, correct?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, good.
And that's going to be the profit share. And the nice thing, because the traditional commercial real estate funds are amazing, and I love them, and the depreciation and all the reasons we're in commercial real estate, right?
Sure.
But those are generally 3 to 5 to 7 to 10 year funds. They're longer term investments.
Correct.
And you do have some more advantages, such as the depreciation and things like that, where you don't get the depreciation on the
on a debt fund, but you get the money back quicker.
You can do a redemption at any point, and because these are very short-term bridge loans, 6 months to 24 months. So as these loans refill, you can put in a redemption, and most people will have a redemption in 30 days, and they can just I
don't understand what you mean by redemption.
like a redemption for their money. So they say they want to take their money back, or if they want to take their money out.
you can basically allow them to take their money out
At any time,
and
because
just replace it with somebody else or whatever. Or okay, got
it's an
it.
evergreen fund.
Gotcha.
So
gotcha.
they could just
Okay.
put it in, take it out.
Is it governed by the SEC? Is it like a Reg D thing? So is it for accredited only, or it's for accredited only? It has to be, otherwise we couldn't have said it on the show here, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
so you have to be accredited. So it's a 506C. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, love it, Hannah. That's awesome. So you're working this debt fund. You're gonna be looking for bridge loan opportunities, keeping the loan to value at a safe rate.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're specializing in asset classes that
what asset classes?
So storage
Storage, of course,
facilities, small bay industrial, mobile home parks, and multifamily
Yeah.
are our specialty. And our bread and butter is about like the $1 to $20 million range.
Gotcha.
Because there's some large institutional commercial lenders like
So you're doing
BlackRock.
$1 to $20 million loans. Wow, those are significant loans. Okay.
Yeah, and generally they're about 12% interest in a couple points. We're pretty on par with market, stay competitive with market. Tertiary markets or higher risk investments might be a little bit higher, but we really try to work with the investors on a loan that is structured to where their deal can be successful. So,
are you geographically? Do you try to stay in a particular geographic region or area?
we're national.
You're national.
Yeah, we're national,
Okay.
and we try to stay in states that are friendlier on foreclosures, such as deed of trust states versus mortgage states, because
Gotcha.
mortgage states, it's a judicial foreclosure process, and it
Now,
takes
I know
a long
all
time.
about it. I had a litigation support company, and we fought foreclosures. I built law firms in 5 states. This is a lifetime ago. Yeah,
But now there's structures, and we have the best attorney out there in the private money space. But there's structures you could create the debt to where you're a partner on the asset. And if they default, the asset becomes yours. And so you bypass the whole foreclosure process.
Wow, it's like a strict foreclosure process. Now, that's very interesting. I may talk to you about that after we stop recording. That's very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. When I did what I did with the litigation support, we built law firms in 5 judicial states because we could stop the foreclosure with litigation, and then I had 60 employees doing loan mods. That's what I built out of the ashes of losing $50 million in 2008. Yeah, nobody had ever done it before. It wasn't a fun business because nobody's happy when they're losing their house. But I sold it a few years ago, and they're killing it now because they had a backlog of foreclosures. A friend of mine owns it now, but. So you want the opposite. You want the deed of trust where it's locked, right, for the foreclosures so you can get them out.
Yep.
Correct?
Or mezz debts where we have ownership on the entity. But
Got
the difference here is like most.
So you call it mezz. So it's mezz debt. So that when you're saying you get an ownership interest, so that's classified as mezz debt in that case. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I know multiple people that have large debt funds, mostly in the residential space, fix and flip, which is a red ocean in my opinion, because everybody's in that space and they're doing 90% LTV and lower rates, and it's
just wait. They're going to get their asses handed to them. I was telling you before we started recording that market got killed first in 08 and 09. I remember the private lending market. Because people have been loaning 90, 100%. They thought the gravy train was going to last forever.
Yeah.
And we've still got a little bit of that sentiment now, but definitely in the single family. Be interesting. What are your thoughts economically with the election coming and where we are in this country? Do you have any trepidation? Are you a bull? Are you a bear? What are your thoughts on where we are economically?
I'm a bear.
You're a bear. Yeah.
I don't want to say this incorrectly, but it's a market cycle, right? The market has to go up, the market has to come down. That's how finances reset. Things get re-scooped up at a lower price, and then the whole thing starts over again. If you look at history, it's always happened, and I believe it always will happen because nothing just goes up forever. Ultimately, the government will continue to print and inflation will continue to happen. And that's why I believe real estate is such a great investment, because over time, it'll continue to go up. But we need opportunity to be able to rebuy assets and add value to them and actually make money, because real estate is supposed to be an investment that provides you cash flow. And right now, it's freaking impossible to find anything that is an investment that provides you cash flow. Like the only real advantages you have right now is the cost segregation and tax advantages that you have. But, it's like when you're already paying for all the value add potential in it at the buy, that doesn't work. And then with I think that we have to be having a pretty large correction, especially in the commercial space. The last crash, I think the residential market took the commercial down with it.
Oh, for sure.
This time,
not as bad. I mean, I remember when I lost everything, it was the houses for sure that pulled me down. I had some apartment complexes. They only pulled back about 11%. But I lost them because I'd cross-collateralized them with packages of houses. But it's the other way around this time.
Right.
I mean, office, is very low occupancy right now. They're dying. A lot of multifamily operators in trouble with bridge debt, myself included. I got a couple of deals that I'm dealing with, so we're going to see a reckoning for sure. But it'd be interesting to see if it's more global, if it's more national versus just specific to commercial real estate. I'm going to be interesting to see what happens, and it'd be interesting to see, of course, what happens with whoever gets elected. But
that's a big determining factor,
Right,
I think.
right.
It obviously, if
God help us if there
Yeah.
isn't a change. That's all I can say,
Yeah.
So if you don't like that, stop watching me, because that's how I feel. God,
Same.
God help us from this current administration.
But I mean, the thing with the rate caps, and I know so many people that bought value add assets in multifamily and all these different investments that are, all the rate caps have expired and they're going from a 2% rate to a 7% rate, which you just can't stay afloat in that.
You can't do it. And I'll tell you, the cost of a rate cap, I tell this story. In 2020, you could get $100 million 3% 3-year rate cap for $23,000. $100 million 3 years, rate's not going to go up more than 3%. That same rate cap for 1 year, like I checked this like 8-9 months ago, for 1 year, not 3 years, was 2.3 million. Okay, so and I've seen, we were looking at an asset in San Antonio where the reserve payment that this bridge lender was asking for went from $8,000 a month to $80,000 a month. Hello, that's not going to happen. So
it's not, and I know lots of people. I think the good news is on the commercial real estate side, most of these assets are funds that are money from accredited investors. So as they lose their money, it's, I guess, less of a impact on they're not losing their houses.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm taking over some assets from a shit show, and there's some investors that have a good chunk of their net savings in some of these deals. I've had to take those phone calls, and I'm trying to save them, but it's a struggle, and I'm going to do everything I can to try to help these investors. I'm helping some friends of mine with some troubled assets, basically, and I'm taking over a portfolio, and it's a bit of a shit show. But no, for the most part, you're right. But I have seen some widows where all their savings are in, and some really sad situations. But we're going to do everything we can to pull them out. But it's. I'm hoping that the rates start coming down. I don't think they're going to come down in a big way. And of course, that doesn't impact SOFR for a long time, which is what commercial debt is based on in most cases. So it'd be interesting to see how it all shakes out here. But I do believe it's going to be an incredible opportunity. I'm in a lot of cash. I've got access to a lot, and cash is king in a crisis, right? So
it is.
You feel the same way?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And I've already seen, I have friends who have funds, and one GP, the bank short saled their multifamily in Phoenix for $18 million, and they bought it a couple years ago for 27.
Yeah.
So those are, they're not on the market. That's happening
no,
behind
they
the
sell
scenes.
very quickly, but as that compounds, there'll be more and more of that. I saw it in 2009. I mean, there were unbelievable deals back then, but I was hiding under a rock. But well, it's been a real treat to have you on the show, and I can't wait to see you 10 years from now. Good God, it's going to, instead of with an M, it'll be with a B, right?
That's the goal. Yeah.
I love it. Well, it's such a pleasure to meet you and have you here.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Rod.